Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate, or I go by AlwaysMoreSims here on YouTube, and today we are doing another speed build. This house is going to be my heir to the Sims 3 in Bloom challenge. Zinnian, this is going to be his home. Normally I would say this is the starter home, and like with the intention of eventually moving. I mean, that's not what happened with his mom, Daisy, and it's not what's going to happen for this generation either, but that is normally how I operate, that like we start in a starter home, and then once the family starts to get bigger, we start having a bunch of kids, we move somewhere a little more luxurious. No, that's not correct. Not luxurious necessarily, just somewhere bigger, a little nicer, a little more spacious. But for the next generation, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really looking forward to it, because I think it's going to be a very boring generation. But Zinnian does not get into any kind of relationship. Zinnian is kind of he's kind of a recluse. He just stays at home with his computer and his cats all day, and that's really about it. He eventually has to adopt at least one kid, but Zinnian does not get up to much, and this could be like, Generation 1 was really quick, but there was more for me to do in Generation 1. Despite it being very monotonous, very repetitive, there was still more for me to do. I'm not really looking forward to this generation because there's not as much for me to do. So this could be something that's like, it's like 10 parts long, and then we're right back to The Sims 4. I don't know. I really don't know how this generation's gonna play out. But this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. It does have laundry, and I'm really kicking myself for calling my previous speed build, like literally the last one I did, Buttercup Bungalow, because that was actually what I'd gone into this house thinking I was going to call it. And I was like, you know what? I should double check that I don't have a house called Buttercup Bungalow. And I do. Literally the last house I built. And I was like, are you serious right now? Are you serious? So this house is called Clover Cottage, I believe. I have a house called Clover Craftsman. I don't know. The house is very green. Like the outside of it, as you can see here, is green. The walls inside are green. The patterns I use are green. It's a lot of green, and I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, I'm not super well versed in flowers, but I'm pretty sure buttercups are like white and yellow. So like maybe it's for the best that it doesn't work out, because I didn't theme it to be white and yellow. I themed it to be green because Zinnian is green. If you're not familiar with my Sims 3 in Bloom challenge, or just the challenge in general, I did not make it. It is not made by me. So I feel like how I just phrased that a moment ago made it sound like I made it, and I did not. This is not my creation. For the first generation, your sim has to plant a plant sim to have a child, which is something I'd never done before, and so I was actually really excited to get to explore that in this challenge. I have never once tried planting a plant sim in The Sims 3. I've never played with a plant sim in either of the Sims games. I don't like playing with the cults. It's the whole reason why I haven't done anything with Enchanted by Nature, why I still haven't even bought the pack, and I'm kind of glad I haven't bought the pack. Like, that's a whole other thing. I have not heard good things about Enchanted by Nature, and the one thing I was kind of looking forward to, like the whole idea of the ailments, sounds like it's been a really big hot mess express. So like, I'm kind of like, okay, maybe it's a good thing. And now it has me even questioning if I want to get the pack at all. Because, like, the only 2 packs I don't have is Journey to Batu, because I couldn't care less about Star Wars. Could not care less. I grew up watching Star Trek. If it was a Star Trek themed pack, okay, yeah, I could get behind it. I could not care less about Star Wars, okay? Could not care less. I think Star Wars is overrated from the bits I've seen of it, but that's probably a very controversial statement. A handful of kits. There's like a few of the more recent kits I don't have. Journey to Batuu and Enchanted by Nature are the only packs I don't have, because they don't interest me in the slightest. And there's nothing in Enchanted by Nature that I desperately want, that I could like convince myself to want the pack for. There's nothing in this pack. So anyways, I don't like playing with the Colts though. It's kind of, I feel like that's kind of a well-known thing for me by now. I don't play with the Colts. I haven't played with werewolves in The Sims 4 since werewolves came out. I have never played with mermaids. I have never played with vampires, despite owning both Island Living and vampires. Never played with either of them. Vampires is another pack I could totally have done without. And I haven't played with any of the supernatural, like in The Sims 3, the supernatural occults, since I got the expansion pack forever ago. Like, well, okay, no, that's not completely true. I had a werewolf sim in my Sims 3 Disney Legacy Challenge before the save broke. And I've played with mermaids in The Sims 3. I actually quite like the mermaids in The Sims 3. I think they're pretty fun. They're not super, like, in your face, but I think, like, the scales for their legs are, like, super pretty. Like, that was one of my favorite parts in The Sims 3 for my Little Mermaid generation, because we had to have 7 kids for each of the 7 daughters, or also the 7 Cs. And I loved getting to pick all the different scale colors for their legs. I had so much fun doing that. But that's not how the Sims 4 mermaids work. And anyways, Plant Sims. I don't play with them. I don't play with the Colts at all in general. So I was like, well, maybe this could be fun. It could be something a little different. And so I struggled because, like, it took my Sim Daisy, it took her, like, and I wasn't super serious about it at the beginning. I was more serious with Daisy getting her gardening level up than I was with her getting her science skill up. And I feel like I should have put more emphasis and more time into the science skill originally, because then it had me towards the end, like, scrambling, because Daisy was on the brink of becoming an elder and she still hadn't made a plant sim seed yet, or forbidden fruit seed, and she still hadn't planted it. She still hadn't raised a kid at all. And so I started to kind of panic. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I don't get this in time? Well, then we got it, and then I had her take a young again potion or whatever it is, and it aged her down to the start of her adulthood lifespan, I think. I have it pulled up right now. Yeah, so she has a little more over a week before she ages up into an elder. But Zinnian is now freshly young adult. So, and I think this is, like, the intention of the storyline was to kind of follow that, like, okay, you know, your parent was, like, really wanted a child, but wasn't interested in going about it in the more quote-unquote normal ways. Like, Daisy didn't really have any interest in carrying a child. She wanted to grow a child because she's all about science. And she's like, I want to do the impossible. Like, I love my garden. What if I grew a child? And so she grows a child. And as Zinnian has gotten older, he has become more self-aware and more self-conscious. Chloe, what are you doing? Sorry. My hair might have just hit the mic. I'm sorry when I, like, turned around. But he became more, like, self-conscious, more self-aware. So, like, as a toddler, as a child, like, he didn't really bother with covering up his leaves, because his skin is covered in leaves, and he's bright green hair, bright green skin. Again, he has leaf detailing, but he didn't really bother covering it up as a child. But then as a teenager, he became a little more self-aware. Again, bright green, covered in leaves. And like he covered up a little bit more in high school. Okay, he was a little more covered. He started wearing like long pants and like I think he wore like a 3/4 length sleeve like baseball tee type shirt. I don't remember exactly. Chloe, what are you doing? Sorry. Clearly very distracted by my dog. But then by the time he reached young adult, like he's like fully covered himself up. Like he is long sleeves, pants. As like a teenager, he really found a love for computers. He also found a love for stray cats. So we have 2 cats. We have a cat named Indigo and a cat named Orchid. And as soon as the generation starts, I fully intend on adopting another cat. Like we have to have like a bunch of cats. And that's really all Zinnian has ever, like, that's all he really wants for his life now, is to be able to sit at home with his computer and just kind of, like, lock himself away with, again, the computer and the cats. And because of that, like, he never gets into a relationship. Is he unflirty? No, I think that was one of the traits he could get, but, like, it had 6 traits listed, and you can only have 5 traits naturally in The Sims 3, unless your sim, like, graduates college. If they graduate university, no. If you get to the top of one of the 3 university skills, so, like, if you hit, like, a high enough skill level on being a rebel, a nerd, or a jock, you can unlock a bonus trait, but other than that, like, you can't have more than 5 traits. Or I'm sure there's some kind of mod that lets you have more. Hold on, I'm actually opening it up. I skipped a page. There it is. Okay. From a young age, you've always loved animals of all kinds, but you've always had a special connection with cats. You spent your childhood playing in your parents' garden, bonding with the stray cats that would wander onto the lot. As a teen, you were gifted a laptop for your birthday, and you spend most of your time attached to it, always playing video games. As an adult, your love for both video games and cats persisted. While you want to raise a child with love and care like you were, romance and marriage aren't things you're really interested in. So, traits, cat person, unflirty, computer whiz, and genius. However, plant sims are automatically born with... Okay, so I had it wrong, not 6 traits, but plant sims are automatically born with, I believe, loves the outdoors and green thumb. I don't think you can pick those. If I remember correctly, now that I think about it, I think he was born with those traits, but, like, I still can't assign him... unflirty. But he has the other 3. He has cat person, computer whiz, and genius, because those are the 3 I was more interested in rather than having an unflirty sim. I feel like the other 3 could be a little more useful. So, like, he has to be a part of the nerd social group. Try to reach the highest level we can, and in that case, then I feel like it's kind of a waste. I feel like unflirty is such a waste of a trait if your sim is not going to be flirting with sims. And we always have to have 3 to 4 cats. Adopting strays is highly recommended. I can never get the strays to work. Like, you're supposed to be able to put, like, a gnome in your yard that attracts strays, and I have never gotten that to work. He has to master logic and handiness. Never get into a relationship or marry, has to adopt at least 1 child, and he's basically a vegetarian without having the vegetarian trait, because he's only allowed to eat vegetarian meals. But, like, I kind of remade the story a little bit in my head, as I've already explained, again, very self-conscious of the fact that he's not a normal sim, that he is a plant sim. It bothers him quite a bit, and it just becomes a bit of a recluse. But then, like, we could add on that, like, he is his mom's entire world. like Daisy had a partner, Cassidy? Was that her name? I think it was Cassidy. Kennedy. I was close. Daisy had a partner while she was trying to create the forbidden fruit seed that would grow a plant sim. But then we had like this whole like story arc where because like Kennedy would like take care of the garden while Daisy was at work, and Kennedy was the one that had the fishing skill that got us the death fish and the angel fish and all the things we needed for, or did we eat ambrosia? She might have eaten ambrosia, not a potion. But anyways, like Kennedy was doing a lot to help Daisy accomplish this goal of growing her own child, but in the process, like Daisy was kind of pushing Kennedy aside because her whole focus was her job and creating a life using the forbidden fruit seed. And so Kennedy got put on the back burner, and when Zinnian was finally, when he finally sprouted, like Kennedy could not have cared less. She didn't really want anything to do with him. She wouldn't interact with him unless she absolutely had to while Daisy was at work. And like the relationship just kind of crumbled and fell apart, and they broke up. But like all of Zinnian's life, it has really just been him and his mom and then the cats. So like he knows what it feels like to be loved by a parent, and he wants to be able to like do that as well, but I think he's also just so self-conscious of himself that he hasn't really explored that or really considered like the possibility of actually having children. But we will eventually adopt. I don't know when, but we will. But that is why I actually left the that one spare bedroom and then that one bathroom right off the laundry area. That's why I left them empty, because I didn't want to spend extra money furnishing them until they were needed. Not that we can't afford the house, because like my Sims currently have about 95,000 simoleons, and the house currently is 59, just short of 60,000 simoleons. So my Sims could afford this house no problem. And we won't be bringing Daisy with us, which I think would realistically like devastate Zinnian to be without his mom. But she'd stay back. I mean, she's literally just up the road. She's right up the road from him. But she would stay back with her garden and everything. So yeah, that's about it for the house. I totally meant to do more with the back, and I forgot. I always forget something. It's either lights or some kind of decoration, or like I've started putting in ceiling tiles so my pictures don't look as trash at the end. And this time I forgot to fully decorate the backyard. I also did not mean to have that be the first picture we saw, but it was. So the house is listed down in the description below. If you'd like to download it, please feel free to do so. Just make sure not to steal or take credit. This does have some store content, picture frame or pictures, a couple different store content items like his computer in his room. So just a heads up there. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye guys.